It's not the Biden crime family, as I've been calling it. It's the Joe Biden crime family. He's the Gotti of the Bidens. That's who he is. He's the head of his own crime family. And unlike other crime families that operate mostly in the private sector, he's even worse. He abused his public office, his public trust, and off he goes. There's no defense for this, none whatsoever. He preemptively protects his family because Trump's so nasty. Well, if he didn't commit any crimes, what's the problem? Not only did Liz Cheney get a pardon, you may recall she got the second highest citizenship award. Why? Wouldn't you like to know if Cheney and her ilk were in communication with the White House? Why wouldn't they be? I think they must have been. I've invited Liz Cheney on my programs now, and we did it this week, for years. She won't come. I'm unserious, unlike her, of course. I'm just a dumb talk show host. Why can't she come on? What's the problem? So much smarter than I, so much more righteous and moral than I. What's the problem? Come on, let's have a discussion about it. First thing I would ask her is, what did you know and when did you know about the destruction of information? And I'd go through the witness tampering with Hutchison. And the Representative Loudermilk report is quite thorough, but there's other things you can ask as well. Now, you might say to yourself, well, can you bring a civil suit? Yes, you can still bring a civil suit. But if you need the evidence, it's going to be much harder to get now. But yes, you can bring a civil suit because, again, these activities were not protected under the speech and debate clause. So Biden preemptively also does what? Literally 14 minutes before Donald Trump is sworn in the middle of the inauguration ceremonies, he apparently signed, before he left the White House, pardons for all of his main inner circle family members. I think there's 5 of them. Can you imagine next Thanksgiving? Here we are, we made it. Look at all the money we stole. Look at all we got. We shook down the communist Chinese. I know they bought us. I know I was the Manchurian Emperor. It doesn't matter. We shook down the mayor of Moscow. He's not there anymore. You know, he went to the 27th floor and he thought it was a pool and he jumped out. You know how that goes. And all these people that they made millions from selling this clown's name, Biden's name, in his office. Remember they withheld this photograph? There's Joe, and there's Hunter, and there's Xi. Wow. They held it off till after the election, you know. And so he pardons his family. And everybody keeps saying he pardoned his family to protect himself. Just like he pardoned Hunter to protect himself. It's not the Biden crime family, as I've been calling it. It's the Joe Biden crime family. He's the Gotti of the Bidens. That's who he is. He's the head of his own crime family. And unlike other crime families that operate mostly in the private sector, he's even worse. He abused his public office, his public trust. And off he goes. There's no defense for this, none whatsoever. He preemptively protects his family because Trump's so nasty. Well, if he didn't commit any crimes, what's the problem? So they unleash lawfare, and then they kill lawfare. See my point? They unleash lawfare against President Trump. They throw the kitchen sink. They throw everything they possibly can at him at the local, state, federal level, criminal, civil, financial. It doesn't matter. They try to take him out, keep him in court. You know the whole story. They lie about evidence. They have phony judges with phony prosecutors, an unconstitutional prosecutor, a Democrat prosecutor. It just goes on. It's the most grotesque thing we've ever seen in terms of our legal system, which was a frontal, destructive attack on our entire justice system. And now we have the reverse of lawfare. We should call it cover-up fare. Where the guy's sitting there using the Constitution of the United States to abuse it and violate it. Certainly it's crossed your mind. Have you ever asked yourself, how does a guy on a government salary for half a century afford an estate in the most expensive area of Wilmington, Delaware? That's a big house. Have you ever seen it with all the yardage too? And on top of that, how does he afford another estate an oceanfront estate in Rehoboth Beach. Many of you may not know about Rehoboth Beach. It's a beach, obviously, in Delaware. It's a very expensive area. Any oceanfront's expensive. So here's a guy, mostly in a senator's salary, vice president's salary, but mostly he bought these when he was senator. The senator who's buying 2 mansions in 2 expensive areas. How did he do it? Oh, no, you don't know. He's Scranton Joe, Lunch Bucket Joe. He took the train back and forth. This poor guy, you know. No, poor guy. He did it thanks to the Communist Chinese. Even in between the time he was vice president and anointed president. What did he do? Oh, they set up something called the Biden University of Pennsylvania think tank or some other preposterous thing, with millions and millions of dollars that flowed into it from, among others, the Communist Chinese government. Now, why would the Communist Chinese government pay for that?
For all this and much more, sign up for LEVIN TV.